computer, and then I'll just have you jump in where you need to jump in, okay? It definitely was yours, Cindy, just to let you know. Okay, sorry. All right, just some ground rules before we get started. All participants are asked to please mute their phones except for the select board, our administrative assistant, and our town administrator, as well as our town council, when now I call on her because we're getting some feedback. Note, all materials for the meeting are available online through Novus or the town website for the public to review. Each agenda item will start with select board discussion. The chair will call for specific participants as described on the agenda. The chair will then open it up to participant comments and questions. Please keep your phone on mute until you would like to make a comment or a question. Once the chair recognizes the participant, participants will be asked to state their full name and address for the record. Again, please keep your phones on mute unless you are participating in the discussion. Once completed with your comments, please put your phone back on mute. All votes are taken by roll call, and the meeting minutes will reflect remote status. Last, if technical difficulties arise, the chair can suspend the meeting while attempts to resolve the technical difficulties are made. One last thing, Lonnie, can you just remind folks that are calling in on their cell phones that if they get muted from us, what the process is to take their phone off mute?
There's nobody dialed in.
There's nobody dialed in? Okay, very good then. I won't say that. If anybody comes dialed in, just stop me, Lonnie, we can do that. All right. So first agenda item is citizen statements of petitions. Do we have any? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Correspondence to the board. I didn't see any this week, Laura. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Consider temporary outdoor dining area, outdoor table service on premise, alcohol, common victular license approvals. So I'll take a motion, Lonnie, on this.
I move to ratify the temporary outdoor dining area / outdoor table service / on-premise alcohol / common vic license for the following licenses: Galliford's Greenhouse Pub, Lowell's, and New England Steak and Seafood. Grandview is approved pending Board of Health approval. These temporary licenses will automatically revert back to its status prior to the change and expansion of outdoor table services or in the description of a licensed premises on November 1, 2020, or the date Executive Order 35 is rescinded, whichever is sooner.
Second.
Thank you. So if you recall, in our last meeting, we had given Kim the authority to approve these. Cindy, do you just want to update us real quick on why we have to go back through this again?
We're having you go back through this again just to make it perfectly clear so there can be no question about whether the liquor licensing authority actually did approve them. So it's just a belts and suspenders.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Cindy. Any other further comments on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Tenio, aye.
Real aye.
Burke, aye. All right, very good. Next one is consider a letter of support for green aggregation. Ann Mezar, I saw Ann. Hi, Ann. So long we'll take a motion on this.
Sorry. I move to approve the letter of support for green aggregation.
Second.
All right, I'll have a discussion on this. Ann, you want to give us an update on where we are with this?
Yeah, we talked about this probably like a year and a half ago, and you approved it, and we were moving forward, but it needs to be on the DPU. It has to go through the process, and it's really slow right now. But the prices are very good on energy. And so we would like to move the process along so that November you'll have some choices that you could make. And so we just wanted to contact our representative and senator and have them push the process along, but we wanted your approval to do that. We don't really need a letter, but just more your approval.
Okay, so to be clear, we've approved this already. You were moving forward with it. It stalled out, and this is a formality. We just have to do it again. Am I
Yeah.
saying that correctly?
And you're,
Okay.
yeah, and you're not making any decision. That the decision you will make to go with the aggregation or not would be like in November.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion on this, guys? Lonnie, Mark? No? Hearing none, seeing none from anybody else. All in favor?
Tenio, aye.
Real I.
Burke, aye. All right, thanks for all your hard work on that, Ann. Keep us posted. All right, we're moving right along. Consider extending the COVID-19 police schedule for the summer. Lonnie?
I move to approve the I move to approve and extend the COVID-19 police schedule for the summer.
Second.
Okay, I see Chief Kersey on the line. Chief, you want to give us an update on that?
All right, so it's pretty much the same schedule we did before. It's been working out pretty good, keeping the guys separated and healthy. We're going to extend it through the summer, 75 days up until September 3rd. And at that time, we'll reevaluate again, but I'm hoping at that time we should be good.
Okay. Laura, have the motion reflect September 3rd, please.
I will.
Okay.
No problem.
Any other further discussion on this, guys? No? Lonnie? Nothing?
I'm good.
All right, I think it's
Chris, let me
great.
just make sure this is the 3rd. It was either the 3rd or 4th. I'm just double checking right now. The agreement I reworked with them. Here we go. It is September 4th. Sorry about that. June 22nd through September 4th.
As noted. Okay, any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Tenio, aye.
Real I.
Burke, aye. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, discuss the upcoming town meeting. So this is a conversation. I see Jay on the line. We have town council and Ellen. Hi, Ellen.
Hello.
Kim, you want to start us off and give us an update, and then we can have others jump into the conversation?
Sure. I know you all were on the email thread that was going around this week. We have town meeting scheduled for the 29th, and I think we're all in agreement that we had a higher than anticipated turnout for the election. And so that leads us to believe that we might have a higher number for turnout for a town meeting. And so we are going back and forth and around about ideas. But since the warrant is posted, my first question is to Cindy. Did we ever find an answer to whether or not we could change the time? Did I miss that email?
Kim, it's less than 100% clear, but, you know, polling everyone that I'm aware of in our office, the prevailing decision is that you can move the time if you absolutely have to, but you got to post it and notify it as soon as possible. And Jay should probably make a motion that he needs to change it. I would not change the day.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, I'll let Ellen and Jay really guide what they want to do here. You know, I don't want to change the day at all. I want to have it on the 29th. We need to vote. I didn't file for a 1/12 budget. So it's imperative that we have it before the end of the fiscal year. I can still file, but I haven't yet.
Okay. Ellen, do you want to jump in and give us your opinion on this?
Yes, I agree that we should have it on that day. Jay and I talked about a 6 o'clock time frame would be better, just because there would be less bugs, and but the 7 o'clock will still work. But I agree that we need to do it that day and not move it anymore.
Okay, Jay?
Yeah, my feeling is the same. If we could go to 6, that probably would just give us a little bit. We're thinking about holding it outside. Hopefully you guys have gotten the information on that. We're gonna hold it out on the football field and back in Misco. So you get a little more daylight if you start at 6 and at 7. Counter to that, of course, is if it starts getting dark, maybe we'll get out of there because we can't see anymore. But beyond that, if we have to stay at 7, that's fine. I actually don't expect that this meeting's going to last more than an hour. There's
Right.
not a lot of stuff on there that isn't common every year occurrences, with the exception of a couple of things. But by doing it outside, we can spread out better. The deal is, though, and I think I don't know if I sent it to the whole board or if I just sent it to you, Kim, some basic guidelines, but there's some stuff out there. Everybody's got to wear face masks. That's state recommendations, even if we're outside. I think if we do it outside, we probably should have an EMS there just in case somebody has some issues, but it's got to be a bring your own chair. It can't be, we don't have 300 chairs to set up out on the field. So people have got to bring their own chairs, their own bug spray, their own water, whatever they need to make themselves comfortable. And I think we set up out there, and we set up at the front with, myself and Ellen and the board and the FinCom, and we just do the meeting. And I think we can get it done in an hour or so, and I think it'll be a lot easier to get done. It'll be either inside or outside. There's going to be no screen, no projectors, no presentations. We're going to go old school, go back to paper. And the only thing that I'm concerned about outside is the sound system. I know the town owns one.
Mhm.
I don't know how effective it would be if you actually fill the field. So, I mean, the override meeting in 2015, we had just under 300 people there. I don't expect that we're going to have more than 200, if that, okay? But I think we're going to have 150 to 200 as opposed to the 65 we usually get in the auditorium.
Right.
And that's the problem with the gym, is I think you really can't space out and get more than about 75 to 100 people in their top. So doing it outside gives you a lot more room. There's bleachers over on one side if families want to go sit together. And I don't think it's our job to police people and say, hey, you need to stay apart. You need to do all these different things. I think that's really up to people. And that's why I said you tell them to bring their own chairs. The only reason I'm recommending the football field is because you have a track there, which is handicapped accessible. Grass is not ADA compliant, even though the baseball and softball field, for all of you that ever played there, is hard as a rock. It's more compliant to be on the track. So I would set up there. So that's my thoughts. And like I said, if you want to stay at 7, we can stay at 7. I'm not that concerned about it either way, but an hour earlier would help.
Looks like Cindy has a comment. Cindy?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, and I don't know what the actual answer is, but there's something about requiring people to bring their own chairs that, what if you've got a bunch of elderly citizens who can't manage to carry a chair? How do they have access? You don't have chairs you could put up? Like, what do we do for graduation and stuff?
They rent them. So
Okay.
if you want to rent them, you could. We can put out a rack of like 50 chairs and just put it there for people to grab, and we can help people if they absolutely don't have a chair. But we don't have 200, 250 chairs to set up out on the field. We'd have to go, the town would have to go and rent them, and that's what they do at graduation.
That's my main concern, is that making sure that no one has an argument that they couldn't
Right.
attend the meeting because they didn't have a chair, or they couldn't manage to get the chair to the field.
Well,
Those types of details concern me.
there would be some logistics as well if we're outdoor and back, especially if somebody needs to drive up to the field, because as you know, the back of Misco is kind of uphill. So we'd probably have to have some traffic control so a car can come up, drop somebody off, and go back down and park down in the lots. So some of that would have to be coordinated out as well, which hopefully we could do through Steve Cinco and Dave in order to make it run smoother. But like I said, I think the school can put out a rack of chairs, and then if we need help putting them out, but we just don't have enough to put out to seat for that many people.
What about the sign-in?
To say what?
The sign-in at the beginning? Like, do we have pens left over from the election? How do we handle that?
Isn't it electronic, Ellen?
It is electronic. I can use my poll pads there, and they have a 6-hour battery on them, so we should be fine. We don't use pens typically in town meeting, although I have thousands of them now that I bought for November.
And the football field is fenced in. There's a gate, so you set up the tables for people to check in right at that entrance there, and then they can go and proceed out onto the field. You know, we probably have to be out there around 5 to help people logistically get in. I just know I got a couple of emails. I think Mark got one as well, from people concerned about being inside. I'm not sure that it's really that big a deal, but then again, you don't want people to be discouraged from coming because they're afraid they're going to get sick. So if we're outside, we kind of cover ourselves in that area. You know,
Jay, I have a couple of questions. One of the things that we haven't talked about is weather-related issues. So what happens if all of a sudden we have a stormy day? Are we going to be requiring people to bring their own umbrella too?
I would tell people to, sure. I mean, we certainly don't have, if we don't have 100, 200 chairs, we don't have 200 umbrellas. I don't think you want to go out and rent a massive tent to cover the whole field. Then you need light and a lot of other things. So I think you encourage people to bring umbrellas, but then again, if it's really a torrential downpour rain, then we postpone the meeting and maybe you set up a rain date for the next day.
Well, that's what I'm getting to, because what if it's a thunder and lightning storm? We don't want people out there with lightning rods.
Well, we all stand and hold on to the metal fence then.
Yeah, there you go. So I just want to make sure we're clear
Yeah.
here.
There is a risk in being outside. There's absolutely no doubt, but I think.
So Cindy, quick question on that then. Are we allowed to postpone due to weather and have a rain date? Or Ellen? You're on mute, Cindy.
We're allowed to table, aren't we? So we could vote on the budget and table everything else.
You could do that. You could
do that. You could also open the meeting, and then Jay could continue it to the next night or whatever day you propose.
Right.
We've done that for snowstorms in the winter. I remember doing it once or twice. I mean, it's rare, but it has happened.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we got to take a chance. I mean, we could always set up some chairs inside and go inside if it's really bad weather, but
No. Ann has a question?
Hi, the planning board has a public hearing at 6:10 that night for an item that is on the annual town meeting. So 6 o'clock wouldn't be a good time. I think you could pull off 6:30. But it's like the legal notice is already published, so I'm not sure if we can change that.
then we stay at 7.
So that brings up a good point. Well, you could still have your meeting, and even if the town meeting was postponed, you could still have your public hearing. Correct? Ann? Yeah, okay. All right.
I never got a posting for a public hearing to post on the website.
You're on mute.
The legal notice went out. I contacted Gail and all that. What else are they supposed to do?
They're supposed to give me the legal notice so I can put it on the website.
All right. It was in the paper
It's a
last.
public meeting. It has to be posted.
Okay, so I'll give it to you then and you can post it?
Yeah,
Or
somebody's
Gail.
gotta.
Yeah, well, Gail was supposed to do that.
Okay. All right, we'll get that done. All right. Any other comments on this? It sounds
Yeah, I
like
have
we're
a
all.
question.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Mark.
Mark. So if we set the meeting to be outside and then there's a severe thunderstorm, can we open the meeting inside and deal with what we need to and then postpone the rest?
I would think so, only because the warrant posting just says it's being held at Misco Hill School. It doesn't specify the gym, the auditorium, or outside, and we will be at Misco Hill School.
Good, okay.
But yeah, you don't want to stand out in the rain to postpone it, Mark?
No, that wouldn't.
But Cindy, that brings up a real important point, because can we be in violation? Let's just say that, I couldn't see this happening, but let's just use worst case scenario. We have 500 people show up and we can't put 500 people in the gym, right? And can we be now in violation of open meeting law because we're not being able to provide ample seating? Or can we make a statement saying that the only thing we're going to do is open the meeting to postpone it? Does that make sense? You're on mute. You're on mute, Cindy. You'll get used to it.
I think you could make that statement, but I think you would still have to make sure everybody had the ability to be there, even if it was some people outside, some inside. I would not be comfortable if people were not allowed in. The other thing you're going to have an issue with is transitioning people from outside to inside and keeping them 6 feet apart.
Right.
So those are things. And Jay, were you planning on running a practice?
A practice town meeting?
Yeah, at least with the sound system and where you think people will be set up and how it carries.
I can try and get my son to help me with the sound system. I mean, I have one as well, but quite honestly, if you really want to be concerned that the sound carries well, I would tell you to hire somebody that has a sound system. I mean, there's somebody in town that would do that, but there's a cost to it. We don't want to spend any money. I think we
should do it.
You gotta make sure people can hear everything, or it's
Right.
subject to a challenge.
Of all the costs related to COVID that we've had to incur, I mean, I think getting a sound system and potentially getting a lead on rental chairs
I
seems
agree.
pretty reasonable.
That would make me happy.
Yeah, and then, I mean, if we,
6 feet apart.
right. And we could, I mean, we can either hire someone the company to put the chairs out, or we could figure it out that day.
Okay. Mark, any other questions from your end? No? Ellen?
If you're gonna go with the rentals, you might as well get a tent too. You know, then we can not worry about the rain. As thunderstorms are different, but then we can just all be hunky-dory under the tent.
And then
Well-
we'd just be partying in that tent.
Right. Well, I have another suggestion at the end of my list, but we won't.
Can we get a one-day liquor license too?
Yeah.
Only goes into effect after 8 p.m., so that gives us incentive to be done. Right?
The only issue with tents on the football field is there's an irrigation system, and we can't start poking holes through the ground and poke through the irrigation system, because that would be rather expensive to fix.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can find out where the heads are, but where the pipes run under the ground, I don't know how far deep they are, so you'd have
Hold
to
on.
coordinate some.
We've got, hold on, I gotta mute Cindy, but there's. So,
Oh, sorry, I tried to mute.
that's all right. So, but can we use another section of the field that isn't irrigated?
Well, that would be the softball, baseball field. We could certainly use that, but it's not, the grass is not considered ADA compliant. So if we have, quite honestly, it's hard as a rock. I don't see any problem rolling a chair there. It's straight on. But according to ADA law, grass is not compliant. But I suppose, in a pinch, if it turns out we're going to have crummy weather and we're going to put tents up, we just move over there and make sure that somebody needs help getting out there. We get them out there. We can drive them out there in a car.
Yeah, I would say as long as, you don't want to have anybody be able to say they were unable to get there because of non-compliance on any issue. But that's why I think, it might be worth getting out there with everything maybe a day or so before and kind of playing around with what might work. And I hate to do this to you, but as I told you, I have to leave this meeting.
Yeah.
I can return. Do I just go back in the same way I did initially?
Yes.
Yep, okay.
I'll text you with the invite, okay?
All right.
I sent it to her too.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, thanks, Cindy.
Why don't we approach it this way? Why don't we plan on doing it on the football field?
Right.
If you could, I don't know if you can make arrangements to potentially have a tent, but then tell
I
them
think
on
so.
Saturday, you know what, or Friday, the weather looks perfect. We don't need it.
Well, what kind of tent are we, right.
You're not going to get a tent to cover the whole field.
Right. And so, what is the tent would really, let's assume the weather is going to be horrible, worst case scenario, and we were going to set up outside. I would think that means the turnout is going to be lower, and we potentially could move inside like we were just talking about and have us adjourn, pass the budget and adjourn to another day. Right. And so, and we'll know that 2 days out, I would think. I don't think the board needs a tent, do we?
Mark said he doesn't want to get wet.
I have a tent.
Get my hair wet. I don't know what you're talking about.
let's put it this way. I have a tent that I bought on Amazon a couple years ago, a big giant backyard tent. The worst case scenario, I will throw that thing in the car and we'll duct tape it together and we'll make a tent.
We're not
But I
going
will-
camping. Not that type.
It's not that kind of tent. It's a white party tent with walls and whatnot. But I mean, I would think we'd want the tent more for potentially an area with people with disabilities or something like that. You know, like same thing with the chair setup. I mean, are we not allowed to stand? Do we have to provide seating? Is that, I mean, I don't know.
That's why I said bring your own chair, but.
Yeah,
and
I
put the
mean-
rack out for people that don't have one, that absolutely have to have one. But,
So let's do this, guys, for the sake of time, because I don't think we're going to get all the answers tonight. But I think Ellen, Jay, and Kim, you all pretty much can anticipate what the challenges are and work with Cindy. I think what we've all agreed to is we want to have it on the date that was selected. We don't want to move the date. Now we just have to work around the logistics of A, where is it going to be? B, how we're going to sit people and if we're required, or can we even allow people to bring chairs in? And do we need a tent? So why don't you,
We can
why
figure
don't
that out.
why don't you guys try to figure all that out? But let's just make an agreement that we're going to move forward with the town meeting as planned. Agreed, guys?
and
Great.
do it outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
So
you
I-
guys figure it
I
out.
can give Kim the name of somebody that can do the sound. I don't know if he's available, but I would call him. If you've got other people, that's fine.
Yep.
The only thing we wanted to talk about is having this other meeting,
Oh,
which I
virtual.
think we should, a virtual meeting next week to answer questions, and I think we should do that. Upton is doing theirs a week before, or like 4 days before, right? So I don't know I'm available whatever day. So assuming anyone wants to call in for this meeting. So end of next week, right? Thursday before the Monday. I mean,
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, my thought after I saw what was, then I sent it to you, what they were doing over in Upton is you basically go through the warrant and go through the questions and see if there's questions, because if we can answer questions 4 nights ahead of time, you're going to avoid them the night of the meeting, which will get us through
Right.
quicker. Again, there's not a lot there, but we can sort of explain the process. And if nobody shows up, then nobody shows up. But we put it out there that we're going to basically run through the warrant on, I think FinCom is doing their thing.
Tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. Okay, so they'll have theirs done. The only night I'm not available next week is Monday. Any other night I can do. So I would say set it up and let's do something like that and just kind of run
Yeah.
through things and,
Right.
we can see where it goes.
I mean, I'm open to also like having us, I mean, I don't know what your schedule is, but like even day of logistical questions or whatever, like when people, before they drive or they figure out, like just to be available that afternoon, or you know what I mean, on that Monday to help
Yeah.
people sort it out. So
Yeah, and I
I
can be
think that
available
makes sense.
at that time.
All right, Mark, Lonnie, any other comments on this? All right, good. Okay, good. All right, so we'll move forward as planned. You guys will work out the logistics. We'll have our virtual meeting set up and, we'll do one more dry run. Kim, just keep the 3 of us updated as you always would anyways, on what the outcome of the logistics are gonna be. And I'm gonna be more than 100% confident that when you come back to me, you say, we have a plan that we know is gonna work. That's all I care
I'm
about.
going to say, so hear this, you got to wear a full body set of PPE out on the field. Everybody's got a headset microphone, right? You're going to be all right with that?
You know those bubbles you get in and you roll down the hill?
Right.
For everybody.
Right. Terrible. We're enjoying it too much. Sorry, it's very serious.
Walmart selling individual pods now. I don't know if you saw. Pods.
And
Old.
what about the liquor license? Is that a non-starter?
Nope, sorry. School property. You know we can't allow it.
Hey, we can waive rules when we have to. We can pay for
Okay,
all
all right, let's move on then. Unless there's any further discussion. Kim, there's no more further discussion on this? Ellen, you good for now? Good. Jay, you're good for now? All right, let's move on then. So town administrator updates.
I'm going to try not to talk about COVID just for this week. So first, since Ellen's on the line, I think we really should give her a nice shout out of thanks for handling the election so well last week. I mean, we had, considering a trying time that we're in, what a trial by fire. And we had no complaints that I know of about anyone not being able to get to the polls or being able to vote properly. We had a great turnout considering we weren't anticipating that. So I'm sure the town thanks you for that, Ellen. I mean, that's an important part of what we do here.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Ellen. I do have one complaint.
Just one though, right?
I wonder what it is.
One singular complaint.
I already sent you an email today on the bonding for the police station. That's going to be happening in the next week. We'll have a meeting next week to talk about that on the Monday to sign the paperwork for that. Continue to be on weekly calls with the state about reopening. As you know, we've been working with the businesses to get reopened. So I've been on a couple of Board of Health meeting calls. I just wanted to add about the meeting. We had some concern about mosquitoes and EEE and having the meeting earlier. I was assured by the Board of Health at the actual time, I think Lonnie, you were on the call too. They said end of July and is actually when the EEE mosquitoes start to come out. So hopefully that will, will help people still come out. But for now, let's just leave it there. EEE instead of COVID. It's busy, as you know. So.
It's like the 10 plagues. My gosh. Okay, that's it, Kim?
That's enough for this week. We're going to give more on Monday.
All right, very good. All right, are there any other topics not reasonably anticipated? I didn't see any or hear any. Good. Okay, so we're going to enter into executive session under purpose 3, chapter 30A, section 21, A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining of the Mendon Police Civilian Dispatch Union, Local 188A. Want to take a motion?
Yep, just before I make the motion, real quick, I have Cindy, Kim, Mark, Laura, Chris,
Dave?
Kim. Need Dave on that too?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll just add Dave to it right now. Everybody jump out and we'll go back into that other meeting, okay?
Okay, so I'll take that motion.
Well, Chris,
Yeah, sorry.
I'm gonna make.
I moved to enter executive session as so moved, sorry.
Chair makes the motion.
Oh, yeah, I read it and then, that's right. I'm sorry, I read it. So that was my motion. I already read it. But we'll only reconvene to adjourn. So, yeah, Mark, thanks for that correction because we haven't been in executive session for like 6 months. So thank you very much. Totally forgot. All right. Take a second on that.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Tenio, aye.
Real eye.
Burke, aye. All right, thank you very much, everybody. All those that are staying in executive session, please stay in. Otherwise, everybody else have a great night. Thank you. Okay.